two of them. Oh, there's contact. There's contact. And there's contact between Cheryl Powell and Campbell Pilling. Good morning and welcome to round 4 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series. We're just slap bang in between Cheltenham and Oxford here at Little Rissington, the old RAF airbase, one of the fastest circuits on the calendar. 8 corners, just around about 1,000 metres of tarmac for the drivers to navigate their way around this weekend. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube, giving people the opportunity to see all the action here on a blisteringly hot, sunny July day. That is the circuit that the drivers will have to find their way around for their qualifying session, their heat, their pre-final and their grand final today. Let's have a closer look at what Little Rissington has to offer.
So here we are on a lap of Rissington, just getting ready for the academy. Into the first corner. This corner's flat out, get next to the curb, run just over onto the curb on the left hand side, don't turn in too early here, little lift, get the kart straight in the middle here, and then just turn in for the middle loop, push the gas but stay quite tight on the exit so you don't slide, top bend, turn in late, get next to the curb on the exit and run wide just onto the rumble strip, and now flat out down to the dog leg. Look for the braking, brake straight, late, don't turn in too early. Your front left wheel just misses the curb there, and your right front just here. Let the kart run out to the left hand side. Now these two corners flat out, absolutely flat out, keep smooth on the wheel. One turn all the way through here, get next to the curb, don't run too wide onto the rumble strip. Look for the braking cone, late turn in here, little bit dab on the brakes, turn in late, don't hit this curb and don't hit that curb. Let the kart just straighten up, follow round and on to another lap, absolutely flat out.
A view of the Rissington circuit there by Andy Cox, a man who knows a thing or two about fast laps around Rissington and winning races around Rissington as well. So round 4, we've already been to the deep south at Clare Pigeon for round 1. We've been to the Midlands at Wilton Mill for round 2. We've been to Wales, which is where we were just around about a month ago. And now we are here for round 4. So this is the turning point of the season. Once we get through today's racing, we will be past halfway. We then head over to the south of Wales at the end of August to Landau for round 5 before we head back up to the northwest and Houghton Park in September for round 6. And it will all come to a dramatic conclusion at Fulbeck in Lincolnshire at the end of October, where the weather certainly won't be as it is here today. It is blistering hot. We're certainly tipping around 28, 29 degrees yesterday. Something similar expected today, although there is quite a breeze here at Rissington as the drivers look for any last bits of shade they can get their hands on. That's why you'll see the umbrellas, not through the rain, but through the hot weather. Interestingly, when we were here last year for the Daniel Ricciardo Series in 2021, mid-pandemic, it was also blisteringly hot here at Little Rissington, in the hope that that gets them to the front of the field. And in terms of the championship, certainly very close indeed. All the classes very close indeed. When I was looking through the championship scores this morning, at the moment it's Max Salarski who leads the Daniel Ricciardo Series DRS100 class. 636 points. He's won every of the 3 grand finals so far. Certainly the man to beat, but certainly not away and in the distance at the moment in this field. Second in the championship, Tristan Powell currently, and then Charlie Ratford just behind them. There's only actually 9 points that separate the top 3, and that's on best points scored as well. So all the drivers accumulate points for all activities when they are out on circuit during a race weekend, a race Sunday. But they do also have the opportunity to drop their worst score. So they can drop their worst qualifying, they can drop their worst heat, they can drop their worst pre-final and drop their worst final. So you're getting an average, if you like, of their scores throughout the championship season. When you add all those up at the end of the year, we will have 3 brand new Daniel Ricciardo Series champions for 2022. Drivers just getting themselves ready. We've got, well, by my calculations, just around about 90 seconds or so before we see the A group, the drivers who have been drawn into Group A for the DRS100s for their time qualifying session. You can see those drivers on the dummy grid at the moment, just preparing themselves. Now, the other aspect of this qualifying session is the drivers can go out whenever they like. They don't need to go out at the start of the session. They can go out if they like halfway through or part way through. It's absolutely up to them when they decide to hit the circuit. But what they cannot do is they cannot go out, come in and go out again. So once you are in and you've posted your timed laps, you are in for the duration. So what a driver could do is head out there, do 3 or 4 laps and then come in, and they might preserve, for example, their tyre wear, keep those tyres a little bit fresher. It'll be interesting to see the different tactics. We've already seen this in this championship year, different tactics from different drivers with relation to qualifying. It's worked for some, not for others. If I remember rightly, when we were here last year, there was some different tactics used as well, certainly by the DRS100 drivers. So let's see how this pans out. There is quite a real stiff breeze, a real cooling breeze, it has to be said, which is going up the main straight towards the first corner, the paddock bend here at Rissington. We'll talk you through the circuit. We'll give you an alternative view from Andy's track guide earlier on this morning. It's a circuit that I know particularly well. I won my first Senior British Championship here back in 1998. It's not changed an awful lot, it has to be said. Still very fast, a little bit bumpy in places. And overtaking here is generally at a premium as well. There's not that many really fast to real slow corners here. We don't have real tight hairpins. We don't have the bus stop chicanes you've seen at places like Fulbeck. So overtaking has to be done precisely, it has to be done accurately. And you've got to pick your way around this circuit to carry as much momentum as you possibly can do and give yourself the best possible chance of linking corners together as the drivers head out on their familiarisation lap. So 10 minutes for these drivers, so we've got a couple that still haven't hit the front yet, or haven't hit the circuit yet. Eldon Holland is one of those, the 117, just sat on the dummy grid, just waiting for the opportune moment to go out there. Those that are joining us on the live stream could also log on to Alpha Timing, alphatiming.co.uk. You can also see all the live times as they happen there. Follow the race from a numerical perspective. And we start to see who the early pace setters are here in this DRS100 qualifying for Group A. So we've got Freddie Cox in this group. We've got the DRS plate holder. The drivers, a lot of the drivers took part in a one-off DRS, almost an open championship here at Rissington before the season started. And he was the winner of that race there, so he's got some previous as Freddie Cox around here. Daniel Weir is also in this group of drivers. Sherry-Ann Powell's also in Group A, the number 6. In terms of seeded drivers, they're the 3 that we have in Group A. There's also drivers out there that we know are particularly quick as well, the likes of Maximilian Reed, Kai Newman's out there, Daniela Sutton's out there, James Kochalek, who's shown very good pace, certainly at Wilton Mill at round 2. So those drivers are on circuit at the moment, just trying to find that little gap of space, that little opportunity to either grab a toe from somebody or chase somebody down, whatever works for them to get the absolute maximum out of these DRS karts, all standardised karts, standardised engines, standardised tyres. So the emphasis becomes driver ability, setup. So the drivers have completed 3 laps so far. The fastest driver out there at the moment is Freddie Cox, a 43.074. Now the other thing we need to do is be mindful to compare Group A and Group B, just to give us an indication of who the drivers that have pace in the 2 groups are. Remember, the Group A and Group B drivers won't see each other until the grand final, so the first time they'll come across each other, as that instant there will have cost Freddie Cox a little bit of time. He'll have had to abandon that lap. It was Eldon Holland who just held him up a little bit as they went through the elbow last time round. So Freddie Cox will embark on another lap here. That last one will have been scrapped. Indeed it was. He lost half a second in that battle with Eldon Holland. And whilst he was losing that time, he was also losing the fastest lap of the session, because Daniel Weir has done a 43.055 and now he's done a 42.978. So Daniel Weir is the only driver to duck under the 43-second barrier. And what's Freddie Cox got in return to that? He's just crossed the line now to complete another lap. Does he go faster? No, don't think he does on that occasion. Just waiting for our screens to refresh here. No, he did a 43.2. Still a couple of tenths slower than Daniel Weir's last lap round. Maximilian Reid, 3rd fastest. Kai Newman, 4th fastest. Castis Southall, 5th fastest, and the top rookie driver, top academy driver in the field, James Kotchalek, is 6th fastest. Sherry-Ann Powell, she's done a 43.4. Around about half a second behind Daniel Weir in terms of pace at the moment, as Cox comes past our commentary position to start another lap. Does he go faster? No, 43.2 that time. A couple of drivers did make some movement though. Freddie Farrell moved up 4 places into the top 10, into 9th. Displaced Daniela Sutton, who drops down to 10th with a 43.5. So it's about half a second covering the top 10 here at the moment. And there is Freddie Cox, 2nd fastest, the DRS plate, but the fastest man on the circuit is Daniel Weir, the number 9. Now, are they all out there? Let me just have a quick look back to the dummy grid. Yes, I think they are all out on circuit at the moment, as Weir goes faster again. 0.918 for Daniel Weir. So another fastest lap from him. And he is the pace setter at the moment. Goes through the elbow. He's going to come round to complete another lap. They've got a decent tour off the 131 of Isaac Kite as well. Kite down in 11th at the moment. And does he go faster? No, but Kotchalek moves up to 3rd. So a 43.1 for James Kotchalek. Jumps him ahead of Maximilian Reid and Kai Newman, who are 4th and 5th respectively. Ben Hoy's made 3 places as well, up into 10th place, and Eldon Holland was just displaced Jamie Scott at the back of the field, as Oscar Walmsley-Jones as well. Just struggling a little bit, isn't he, Oscar Walmsley-Jones, in terms of pace. 6 tenths off the leading times at the moment. But Daniel Weir's got himself about a 10th and a half of advantage here over Freddie Cox, who's 2nd fastest. Sherry-Ann Powell did her fastest lap of the session so far on the last lap of 43.3. Moves her up to 6th place ahead of Castis Southall. And they've all done 8 laps. We've got about 2.5 minutes to go here. But they are still improving. There is still some signs of life from the tyres. They're still showing us that there is some pace to be had out there. Although Daniel Weir's dropped off about 2 or 3 tenths of a second. I wonder if they'll just abandon. I wonder at what point Daniel Weir might think, right, well, he's now slowed right down. I'm just watching him go through the loop and top bend at the moment. He's slowed right down and almost abandoned that lap. I wonder if he'll abandon the session because he's not gone any faster for 3 or 4 laps. I wonder if the tyres have just got to their optimum. He's having a little look around at the moment. Now, is this a tactic just to put him in a group with someone else, or is he going to abandon his qualifying session here? His hand in the air, is it? Yeah, I think that's quite clever, quite cute from Daniel Weir. Worked out that he wasn't going any faster. Tyres he's probably got as much as he was gonna get out of those tyres. You look at everybody now who's dropped off the pace a little bit. Freddie Cox, who's out there on his own in terms of track position, he's not going any faster either, and they're all 2 or 3 tenths slower. So certainly from a tyre wear perspective, I don't really see the point of them just circling round at the moment. I would be tempted to just head into Parc Fermé. Nobody has gone, other than Daniela Sutton, who's just done her fastest lap, 43.381, only good enough for 9th at the moment. Nobody's gone any faster for a while now. This also gives indication to the Group B drivers who are sat on the dummy grid. Okay, we think these tyres are good for about 8 laps. You can probably show improvement for about 8 laps, and then I think you're probably done. So maybe don't put 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 laps into the tyres if you don't need to. Because again, Cox now going 4 tenths slower than he has done previously. Now his tyres have already done 3 more laps than Daniel Weir's. Now that could come into play when we get to the end of the grand final later on this afternoon. Certainly fresher tyres for Daniel Weir. I wonder which drivers will look at this and think, right, we know that we're maybe going to get 6 or 7 laps to have a go at this. Maybe we just abandon the session at that point and preserve the life in those tyres. Different tactics, as we said, for different drivers. At the moment, nobody has shown the pace to dislodge Daniel Weir. We've got checkered flag, so the end of the session. So they all did stay. I think James Kotchalek came in, didn't he? I think Kotchalek only did 8 laps, Daniel Weir did 9. That gives you an indication of the drivers who felt that it wasn't worth them just circling round for the sake of doing so. And again, so Kotchalek and Cox, they're 2nd and 3rd. There's about half a tenth of a second between them. But now, Kotchalek has 5 laps less in his tyres than the likes of Freddie Cox and Maximilian Reid, who are 2nd and 4th. So Daniel Weir fastest in the first session. The time was 42.981. We'll see if we can maybe grab a chat with Daniel Weir and with the likes of James Kotchalek later on, just to see how much that the tactics of qualifying has played a part in their decisions in that first session. So 42.981 is the time to beat. That's the time that the B drivers will be looking at, and lots of drivers within this B group who will, well, they'll fancy the chances. Lots of quick drivers in this B group. And let's see how they compare. Their qualifying session is scheduled for 25 past, so we've got 8 minutes or so before the start of that qualifying session, and we'll be back with you in just a few moments' time for qualifying for the DRS100 B group.
Basically,
So our B group then, so the drivers who were drawn in Group B for the DRS100 class, they're on the dummy grid now, just getting themselves ready for their qualifying session. 10 minutes to post their fastest possible lap. I wonder, having looked at the first session, how many of them will complete the first 10 minutes, because it certainly looks to me like these Vega tyres have around about an 6, 7, 8 lap shelf life. There they are. Certainly in this heat, to get the best out of them, to get the best possible lap time out of them. So I wonder how many will maybe just do 6, 7, 8 laps and then call it off, or how many will stay out there. There is obviously an advantage to staying out there as well. You get more track time, more learning time for a lot of these young drivers. But I'd imagine for the absolute maximum performance, there is certainly, or it looks like there is a window of operating temperature for these tyres. Ruby Smith there, the 151. Just behind Ruby is the 149 of Jake Woodrow. Will they all go out together? That's the other question. Will they all head out there for the start of this session, or will some just hang on a little bit? We've got the likes of Championship leader Maximilian Salarski in this group. There is the 7 of Bryn Calder. Behind him, the 139 of Rome Marsden. And then the number 5 of Henry Foote is also in this group. Also in this group is Charlie Ratford. So Charlie Ratford, the number 8. Not seen him, but he will be on that grid somewhere. There is Championship leader's car. That tells us something, that Maximilian Salarski, this session's about to go. It's about to be released from Parc Fermé, and Salarski hasn't even got his helmet on. So that tells you a little bit of something about the tactics that Maximilian Salarski is going to employ here. 159 of Joe Wood at the rear of the field. So where was Charlie Ratford? Had he stuck himself right at the front and we just missed him as they went round? Oh, there is Charlie Ratford. He's not in his kart either. In fact, he's looking very casual and chilled with his race suit just around his waist at the moment. So Ratford and Salarski not going to come out to play just yet. That's their tactic. So of the drivers that are on circuit and will start the session at 25 past, which is the clock is already ticking on now, how many of these will do the full session? At what point will Salarski and Ratford join in? Will they join in together? Will they go separately? I'm just having a little look down now. I can see that Charlie Ratford is just starting to get himself ready, just put his balaclava on. And they've just wheeled Salarski up to alongside him on the dummy grid. So let's keep an eye on the likes of Henry Foote, the number 5, who's out there at the moment. They're all just completing their first qualifying lap, or their first... Oh, there's a little bit of contact there involving a couple of drivers. All quite well spread out at the moment around this Rissington circuit. We said before, about 1,000 metres of track for them to work their way around. It is super power here. It is very fast. It is very flowing. It's one of those that does tend to rattle you around a little bit. It is a tough one on the body. Now, who's fastest so far? Tristan Powell's done a 43.5. So he's the early pace setter. And then Sam Halley-Hinksman. Now, we didn't talk about Sam Halley-Hinksman, but he's also in this group. It doesn't look like Group B this weekend certainly seems slightly stronger in terms of drivers who are up there in the championship. As they complete a couple more laps. Remember, we've still not got Ratford out there. We've still not got championship leader Maximilian Salarski out there. So Sam Halley-Hinksman fastest, 43.4 for Sam, the 140. Brinkholder second fastest. Tristan Powell and Tuscany Groves third and fourth. George Jennings is fifth fastest, and then Liam Karbalov is sixth fastest, just ahead of Ruby Smith, as Jennings moves up another couple of places into fourth. But George Jennings now the top of the rookie drivers, the academy drivers. Henry Foote, 2 laps, 10th fastest at the moment. Certainly would expect him to be towards the sharper end of that. Where is he at the moment? Let's just have a look. He's just coming round the elbow at the moment, so let's just see what this fast lap is like for Henry Foote, the number 5, who crosses the line now. He doesn't go any faster, 43.8 for Henry Foote. He's got some sort of problem out there at the moment. He's done 3 laps and he's some distance off the pace, really. Here comes, is that Ratford who's just left the paddock? I think it is. So Charlie Ratford is on circuit. Where is Salarski? Right, so Max Salarski is still on the dummy grid. Not involved just yet. There is, so Brinkholder now goes fastest, 43.2. So they're still 2.5 tenths slower than Daniel Weir was in the first session. But we do think that laps 6, 7, possibly 8 are the laps where the tyres are at their optimum. I'm just looking now, Ratford is on circuit. He's just about to come round and complete his first formation lap. So this will be his first flying lap. He's out there with Sam Halley-Hinksman just behind him at the moment. Where is Salarski? Must be just about to come on circuit. How long have we got left? We've got 5 minutes. It's certainly the tactic that I would be employing, whether or not you go out early and do it that way, or you hang on the way that Salarski has done. But I would certainly not be out there for the full session at the moment. Let's have a look at the times then. 5 laps completed. Brinkholder's fastest, 43.2 for Brinkholder. Charlie Ratford, first flying lap into second place, 43.2. So instantly on the pace, Charlie Ratford. Karbalov up to third, Tristan Powell up to fourth, second in the championship, Tristan Powell. Sam Halley-Hinksman down to fifth, George Jennings is sixth, and Ruby Smith, good showing from Ruby, into seventh place, a 43.8. Group A, as an average, were quite a lot quicker than Group B. It's an interesting statistic to start us off. Salarski, where's he at? Is he out there yet? Yes, he is. I've just seen him come round to start his first flying lap. Now, what sort of pace has Salarski got straight out of the box? What can he do on his first flying lap? As Ratford goes fastest, not just fastest, fastest of everybody. 42.7 for Charlie Ratford. He's 2 tenths quicker than Daniel Weir was earlier on in the first session. Ratford then is flying out there. Let's see what championship leader, the man who's won every single grand final so far in the DRS100s, what has Max Salarski got? He's got a 43.1 on his first lap. Here he comes then to complete lap 2. Does he go quicker than Ratford? No, he doesn't. 42.9 for Salarski. Now then, he's going to need a little bit more, isn't he? He's going to need another couple of attempts to get on terms with Charlie Ratford, who is the fastest man out there. He's just done a 42.8, which is a 10th slower than his fastest lap of the session so far. Ratford and Salarski are the only 2 in the 42s. And add to them Daniel Weir as well, 42.9 from the first session. So here comes Henry Foote. Henry Foote must have some sort of problem out there, circling at 43.9, nowhere near the pace. He's a second slower than the fastest drivers out there. Ratford's crossed the line to complete another lap, not gone any faster. 42.9 for him. Where's Salarski? Here he comes. Let's see what he's got up his sleeve on his 4th flying lap. He's done a couple of 42.9s. He did a 43.1 last time round. There is second fastest driver. He is slightly quicker than Daniel Weir was in the first Group A qualifying session. Henry Foote gone any faster? No, 44 flat for him. Here comes Salarski. What's he got now? 43.2. Oh, I think he's done. Max Salarski. He almost worked in an operating window of 2 laps for the tyres, didn't he? Because he's now dropped a couple of tenths. Oh, okay, and I'm just being told through my earpiece that Charlie Ratford's flying lap, the 42.7, is a new lap record. So new lap record for DRS 100 from Charlie Ratford. That's going to take some beating, isn't it? 42.787, the fastest that any driver in DRS 100 has been around this Little Rissington circuit. How about that for pace this morning from that young man? So Ratford, fastest of them all. I think that'll be that. I don't think anyone's going to go much faster now. Henry Foote's gone a little bit quicker, but he's starting from quite a low baseline. 43.7 for Henry Foote, only good enough for 12th fastest. So Ratford, Salarski, Hinksman, Hallie Hinksman, Bryn Calder 4th fastest, Karblov 5th, Tristan Powell 6th, Joe Jennings 7th, Ruby Smith in 8th, and Ben Thorley is 9th, and then Tuscany Groves 10th, Jake Woodrow 11th, and Henry Foote is 12th, and Archie Potter, Rowan Marston and Joe Wood are the remaining drivers in terms of lap time. Nobody is going any faster at the moment. 42.9 for Salarski. Oh, has he got just one more push in there? If he was to outdo Charlie Ratford here, he wouldn't just be outdoing him for pole position in the first heat, he'd be outdoing him for a lap record as well. Let's just have a look at where he is. He's got to come across a back marker which might just impede him, or he might use him as a bit of a slipstream. Suppose it's how quick he lands onto the back of that back marker. He's going to catch him in the elbow. This probably won't help Salarski, so if this is a flying lap, it's probably not going to do him a world of good. Let's see. Might just give him a little lift up the start-finish straight. Has Salarski got one last push in the tank? No. 42.947, so consistent, but hasn't managed to hook things together and get himself towards the 42.787, and that is the end of the session. They're all going to come through to complete now. See if anyone goes faster on their last lap, shall we? We're looking for a blue highlight on the screen. I don't think we're going to get one. Salarski's the one to watch, second out there. Henry Foote last time did a 43.6, pushed him up to 12th. Disappointing qualifying session for last year's 5th place driver. Here is Salarski. Any quicker? No, really slow. 43.5 for Salarski. So Charlie Ratford then, fastest in Group B for the DRS 100s, but not only that, a new track record, a new fastest lap around this Little Rissington circuit, 42.787. Super stuff from last year's 8th place driver in the championship, the number 8 of Charlie Ratford, as the DRS 100 stream back into Parc Fermé. They will be weighed and the scrutineering checks will be carried out to make sure everything is compliant with the regulations here. And we will move fairly swiftly in around 7 or 8 minutes time onto our youngest drivers, our DRS 62s, who are due on circuit for their qualifying session at 11:45. We'll see you then. So the first of our 2 DRS 100 groups, Group A, they are on the dummy grid and ready to go. The races themselves, 8 minutes plus 1 final flying lap for these drivers to sort themselves out into some sort of order. The result of this heat will contribute towards their start position in the pre-final. The pre-final for the DRS 100 Group A is 1:20 this afternoon. The main final for the DRS 100s is the last final of the day. That's the top drivers, the drivers that make it through to the grand final. Those that don't will take part in the B final, which is 20 to 4 this afternoon. So plenty of track time for these young drivers, but also points at stake in terms of the championship. And the likes of poleman Daniel Weir, keen to get as many championship points on the board as he can, keen to improve upon that 9th place finish in last year's championship. So our first competitive wheel-to-wheel action of the weekend is here. Daniel Weir starts on the inside the front row. Freddie Cox is alongside him. And they'll all head out on their formation lap. They'll go around and warm all of the component parts as the sun breaks through the clouds once more. It's a little overcast, but the sun is shining here. It's very, very warm, very, very humid. It's the track temperature is getting warmer, and what you tend to see is that the rubber gets laid down from the Vega tyres. The track will get grippier as the day goes on, and the DRS100s head through the first couple of corners. A little look round this circuit. Paddock Bend, they go down into the loop, which is left-hander now that they are on. Comes back on itself, they shift the carts to the left-hand side for Top Bend. Long right-hander, open slightly on exit, there's a curb on the way out. And then they head down this straight, there's a little left kink in it. And then into the dogleg, the hardest braking zone on the circuit, this tight left-hander. But because it's downhill, because it's off camber, it is tough to overtake in there. It'll be a brave move under brakes into the dogleg. Then they come round bottom bend, the elbow and paddock bend. They don't do that on the formation lap. They effectively go right round the outside of this Rissington circuit, and then they get to where they are now, the long stretch of straight up towards the start finish line. The front two eyeball each other. Weir, has he got the best? Oh, there's a little bit of hesitation between Weir and Cox at the front. I think Weir has got into the first corner first, he has, and Cox just slots into second place as well. There was almost a little bit of hesitation as they looked towards the lights, which were yet to change. Then the lights did change and they all jumped back towards the accelerator, and they have all managed to get through the first 3 or 4 corners. So down they come into the dogleg for the first time. A little bit of a gap between Weir and Cox has developed already. They have all streamed through the left and right of the dogleg and into middle bend, and now towards the elbow for the first time. Daniel Weir is who leads. Freddie Cox is in second place, just a little bit wide on the exit as they came through the elbow, and that is lap 1 complete here, and Cox has got a good run up the start finish straight, and over the rumble strip and over the grass goes the 4th place of Kai Newman. Kochelek is up into 3rd and Mensah is 4th, and Sherry-Ann Powell is in 6th place. Eldon Hullam is the top rookie driver in 7th. Maximilian Reed came through in 8th, and then Oscar Walmsley-Jones and Daniela Sutton. Here are the leaders then. And already we can start to see where drivers are. So this was into the dogleg for the first time. Was there a little bit of contact there between the front of Kochelek? Oh, there was the driver who just caught the inside rumble strip. And this is the moment where I think Kai Newman went very wide on the exit of turn 1, pushing a little bit too hard too early, and there is a move for the lead. So as we came back to the live action, it was Freddie Cox who dived down the inside into Top Bend. Got a great run out of the loop, didn't he? Took right up in behind Daniel Weir, and as Weir moved out, there's a little mistake from Daniel Weir. He was a little bit wide coming out of the loop, cost him a little bit of time, and ever the opportunist, Freddie Cox, down the inside into Top Bend, and he's managed to make it stick as our new race leader. We've still got Nearly 6 minutes to go here, very early on in the stage of the race. Cox, Weir, Kotchelet, not a million miles behind either, is he? Only a kart length or so away from these front two. Then there's a little gap back to Aaron Mensah and Kai Newman, and where's Sherry-Ann Powell in relation to these? She's a little bit further back in 6th place, so Sherry-Ann needs to try and close this gap to the 5th place of Kai Newman in front of her. That'll be interesting to see what the lap times are comparatively between those two. But at the front, Freddie Cox doing a good job of just keeping Daniel Weir at arm's length. He's got a kart length or so advantage over the 2nd place driver. 43.1 is fastest lap of the race so far from Freddie Cox. As they stream down the long back straight here into the dogleg, under braking. Left-hander close to the apex, a bit wide from Weir again. He's going to lose a little bit of time. He knows it. He had a little look over his right shoulder, so just a little bit ragged here from Daniel Weir at the moment. Just got to be careful he doesn't come under significant pressure now from James Kotchelet, who's had a nice little watching brief over the front two, squabbling over the lead. Then there's a battle between Mensah and Newman for 4th and 5th. Now, has Sherry-Ann Powell managed to close this gap? Well, she's just done her fastest lap of the race, a 43.5. Still a couple of tenths slower than the group of drivers in front of her for 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. So she is not making any inroads as yet, but has done her personal best, a 43.579. Oh, contact. Contact a little bit further. We've lost a nose cone as well, so the contact was certainly Eldon Holland's involved there. Who was the other driver? Now, Eldon Holland's got a broken back bumper, or certainly a bent back bumper. We've got one going round now without a front nose cone, who we should be able to find. I see them as they come round over start finish now. So the 136 then of Maximilian Reid. So Reid is going to have to come into Parc Ferme. He's off the track as well at the top of the circuit. So no change at the front, but while it's all happening in behind, so Maximilian Reid and Eldon Holland involved in contact, I think they will both have to come into the Parc Ferme to have those mechanical problems fixed. Yes, I'm seeing the technical flag for 136 Maximilian Reid. I wonder if Eldon Holland will get away with it. It's got a bent back bumper. It's whether or not the officials deem it to be causing any significant safety risk. I think they'll be okay at the moment. And there's Newman. Oh, there's contact between Newman and Mensah. Well, how far down the inside was he? He was certainly thereabouts as Mensah re-attacks or comes back at him through the right-hander at the top bend. This is the battle for 4th and 5th, remember, and that will help Sherry-Ann Powell. Just give her the bit between the teeth just to come back at these two as they slow each other down in that battle for 4th and 5th. Here's the move then. So how far up the inside was he? Oh, it's quite late. Oh, he's there though, isn't he? He's there though. So just doesn't manage to give that much conviction when he got onto the apex. Kai Newman. I don't think there'll be much done there in terms of the officials. They may have a look at it. But now, Sherry-Ann Powell is on the attack, trying to find a way past Kai Newman and dives down the inside and puts the exact move on, or puts a better version of the exact same move on that Kai Newman put on Aaron Mensah. Newman's got some sort of problem, hasn't he? Really struggling to keep the thing, or point the thing in the direction that he wants it to be. What a move from Sherry-Ann Powell. So she just had that little bit more conviction under brakes. So by the time she got to the apex, she was fully alongside Kai Newman. It means that Newman drops to 6th and Sherry-Ann Powell on her merry way up into the top 5 then. Next target for Sherry-Ann is Aaron Mensah in 4th place. No change at the front. The gap between Cox and Weir is now, well, it's now up to 0.8 of a second. So what a good job Freddie Cox is doing at driving away at the front of this field. There's a similar gap back to James Kotchelet now in 3rd place. Then Aaron Mensah, who we've seen in 4th, who repelled the challenge of a couple of laps ago. He's a lot more comfortable now with he's got a second or so's advantage back to Sherry-Ann Powell, who is in 5th. Sherian has a recovering Kai Newman. Just managed to get things a little bit straighter, a little bit more sorted. And we'll be hoping to really come back at Sherian, who just misses the apex on the way into top bench. So a little bit of oversteer as she went through the corner. Through the dogleg once more. That's our 5th place driver. Fastest lap so far for Sherian is a 43.6. Fastest lap of the race so far is Daniel Weir's 43.1. Now, interestingly, Weir has just taken 2/10 out of Freddie Cox. Now, I wonder if they've set that up to come on late. I wonder if they've really dropped tyre pressures. The lower the tyre pressure, the longer the tyre takes to work, but it does give you an advantage come the end of the race. The higher the tyre pressure, the quicker they generally work. Just keep an eye on this gap. It's half a second between Cox and Weir, but on the last lap, Weir took a good 2.5 tenths out of the race leader. Now, could Cox come under some pressure in the closing stages here? It is the closing stages because it's got to be the last lap of the race. It is the last lap of the race. The time is up. So Cox just needs to navigate another 43 seconds or so. What's the gap now? Oh, he didn't take anything that lap, did he? So good response from Freddie Cox. Just said, right, okay, if you're going to come back at me, I have the capacity to turn the screw a little bit. I can give a little bit more. Just managing his tyres, you would expect, Freddie Cox. 2nd place is Weir. 3rd place is Cotswold. They've been fairly possessional, haven't they, for the last few laps. So Cox is going to come through and he's going to win this first heat. He does. Crosses the line now. Weir in 2nd place. Kochalek in 3rd. 4th is Mensah. It's a 5th place finish for Sherian Powell with Kai Newman in 6th. And then I think Daniela Sutton's going to come through into 7th. So good recovery drive for her. Did her personal best on the last lap as well. 43.2 from Daniela Sutton, which was faster than 2nd place Daniel Weir on the last lap. Oscar Walmsley-Jones was 8th. Cathy Southall 9th. Top rookie as well. Jamie Scott into 10th, and then Freddie Farrell, Ben Hoy, Isaac Kite, and then Elvin Holland was a lap down, and Maximilian Reed did not finish. I assume that's due to the technical that he had in the earlier stages, due to that incident with Elvin Holland partway through the race. Certainly not a walk in the park out there. They will sweat a lot. They'll lose a lot of weight in water. They'll have to rehydrate between sessions. But it's certainly not a day where the sun is beating down and causing the problem. It's more the humidity and the ambient temperature, which will be something that the drivers need to manage and deal with. So the DRS Group B drivers just getting ready for their first heat. Heat 1 for them, scheduled to leave the dummy grid around about 5 minutes' time, and we'll be back in just a few moments with Heat 1 for DRS 100 Group B.
One and a half minutes.
So what an interesting front row we've got here for Group B of the DRS 100. So Max Salarski and Charlie Ratford. Salarski championship leader, Ratford third in the championship. 9 points separate them at the moment. And Ratford
the current lap record holder. I don't expect that will be beaten today. We generally have seen a drop-off in performance as the tyres get more life into them. We've very rarely seen an improvement in fastest laps in the heats or the finals compared to qualifying. So it certainly could stand for another 12 months or so for Charlie Ratford, unless we see something absolutely incredible in terms of pace out there. So there your front two for this second heat. Just in about less than a minute now before we get underway. And here they come. So the second set of DRS100 drivers out for their formation lap. Now, if the first one's anything to go by, we'll get two of these. So they'll get 2 laps round Little Rissington to get themselves up to speed, up to temperature. Make sure everything is how they want it to be. Ratford, Salarski, Sam Halley-Hinksman, Liam Carboff, Bryn Calder, Tristan Powell, George Jennings, Ruby Smith, Tuscan Groves, Ben Thorley. That's your top 10. I expect to see Henry Foote come through this field. He's starting 11th. Certainly looked to have a fairly torrid qualifying session. But he's a driver that we expect usually to have good pace. So, all eyes on the front two. As they look towards the lights, they head up, they'll go around again. So they all squeeze the accelerator, stretch their legs up, start, finish straight. Another lap on the formation. I wonder if they're just a little bit quick coming off the bottom corner. This is a strange experience for some of these drivers because they don't go around the normal circuit, so they're on their formation laps. They go all the way around the outside. They miss out the dog leg, they miss out middle bend, they miss the elbow out. They go all the way around the outside, which is where the gearbox karts used to go here at Rissington. So they're really well formed this time. So unless they break formation, which they're being told now not to do, eyeballing each other. I'm looking at the lights, which are red at the moment. They are gone green, and it's the better of the starts for Ratford. Can Salarski hang it around the outside and just make sure that Halley-Hinksman, in fact, he's gone all the way around the outside, and he goes a little bit wide. So, wide from Salarski. He tried to go all the way around the outside initially of Sam Halley-Hinksman just to hold off the threat from him for second place. In the end, that led to him going around the outside of Charlie Ratford as well, and then losing a whole host of places. Now, where has he come back into the field? I think he's probably 4th or 5th as they come round. They're just out of our view at the moment, but when they come back towards the start-finish, we'll get a good indication of where Salarski is. I think he's 6th at the moment. He's just dived down the inside of somebody into the elbow. Here they are then. Sam Halley-Hinksman down the inside. Is he? Yes, he is. So, we have a new race leader in the form of Halley-Hinksman. We did very momentarily, because back down the inside went Charlie Ratford and held off the advances of Halley-Hinksman into second. What a good start to this race it has been. Ratford, Halley-Hinksman, Ruby Smith all the way up into third. What a start from Ruby Smith to this race. Bryn Calder 4th. Salarski came through in 5th. He got past Liam Karbalov in the elbow last time round. Now then, Where do they come back round? Where's Ruby Smith? Is that Ruby Smith on the grass? I think it is Ruby Smith on the grass. So she's come to a halt on the inside between middle and top bend. So an outstanding start to this race. But she is now out of this race and rips off the glove in disgust at not being in the pack anymore. So Ruby Smith, a retirement after such a strong start as well. Interesting to see what actually happened as she went through middle bend, right in the middle of the pack. And she was bundled out of what was third place a lap or so ago. I don't think she was in third when she came to a halt. One for the official potentially to pick out. Now then, as all that's been happening, Charlie Ratford's just been stretching his legs a little bit, and Sam Halley-Hinksman has now got a job on to keep championship leader, race winner, Maximilian Salarski behind him. Will he have a look into the left? He will have a look into the left. Oh, it's very, very tight. He has found a way through. And to be fair to Sam Halley-Hinksman, he saw the nose of Maximilian Salarski. He jumped out the way, because if he hadn't done, there would have been some contact, I think, between the two of them. He's going to try and just shape to have a little look down the inside at the dog leg. Didn't manage to do it. Here is the move then. He's not quite there, is he, as they get onto the apex? It's mature driving from Sam Halley-Hinksman, because if he had just cut the apex, he probably would have got the front left of Max Salarski into his rear left as they went into the loop. He probably would have turfed at least one of them out of contention here. As it happens, they're both still going, and Halley-Hinksman misses the apex quite significantly in the loop last time round. So now then into the dogleg they go once more. Ratford now has a different challenge, a different proposition behind him. It's the challenge of a championship leader. It's the challenge of the number 3 of Maximilian Salarski, who is looming, isn't he? He's getting there. He's closing in on the race leaders. A good battle again between Halley-Hinksman and Calder for third and fourth more. And just behind those two is Liam Karbeloff. There's a gap back again to the 154 of Tristan Powell, and then a longer gap back to Henry Foote. So Henry Foote up to 7th. So what sort of pace has Henry Foote got? A 43.9. 43.2 is the fastest lap of the race so far. Now compare that to the 43 flat from Freddie Cox. Group A slightly quicker at the moment than Group B. That'd be an interesting front row, wouldn't it? Maybe Cox and Ratford, or Cox and Salarski, or even Daniel Weir and one of those two. It'd be a really interesting proposition for the grand final, which is when the two groups of DRS 100s will come together. We've still got 4 minutes of this race to go, and this could very quickly become a 4-car battle for the lead, couldn't it? Because Calder is pushing Sam Halley-Hinksman up towards Max Salarski and Charlie Ratford, who are our leaders. So down the hill they go once more, and the race leader is Salarski. He's not managed to get on terms with Ratford. He managed to dispatch him all in very quick measure as well. He's actually just edging away, isn't he? So all that pace that Charlie Ratford had in qualifying, 2 tenths, a clear 2 tenths on Maximilian Salarski. Where's that pace now then? Where's that pace gone for Ratford? At the moment, it's looking like more dominance from the number 3 as he leads this race. He's very neat and tidy through the loop again, although Ratford was quick in sector 1 and just managed to close back a tenth or so. 43.1 from Salarski last time round. As they head down to the dogleg into the left-hander, they swing right and then head down the hill. Everything's off camber here through bottom bend. Slopes away from you, you've got to hold on to it on the inside. Then a little climb up to the elbow. And now it's all uphill until they get over start-finish line. And Ratford just starting to come back at him, isn't he? Just Charlie Ratford maybe saying, no, I'm not done here. I've got a little bit more up my sleeve. Not going to have this all your own way this weekend, Max Salarski. Can Ratford get back on terms? Every time he looks to get within a kart length or so, it's almost like Salarski just turns the screw a little bit more and just edges away a little bit more and just gives him that little bit more comfort that he so needs at the front of this field. There's only A minute and a half or so to go here, plus the one final lap. Calder 4th. Then there's a gap back to Karblov, Powell, Henry Foote, 5th, 6th, 7th. Ben Thorley is 8th, Tuscany Groves is 9th, and Archie Potter is 10th. Just the one retirement, which is Ruby Smith, who was up into 3rd. She made a super start to this race. She was one of the benefactors to Salarski going around the outside and getting slowed on the first lap. Now, what kind of pressure can Bryn Calder put onto Sam Hinksman? As we say, that is shaped to the inside. Oh, it does. There's contact there between the two of them. He has gone past as Hallie Hinksman tries to go back at him on the inside, but the run is with Calder. And there was a little bit of contact there as they went into the dog leg. Did Hallie Hinksman just shut the door a little bit too aggressively, or was it over exuberance in trying to make the move? Here, this will give us a good indication. Here they come then, down the hill. Calder looks over his right shoulder. You'll see there's no real pressure from behind. He pulls out to go to the inside. Oh, he hasn't made the move there, has he? Oh, and then there's contact. Oh. I wouldn't imagine that's going to be looked at too favourably by the officials, because he wasn't alongside. He has caught the rear bumper, the rear tyre, just sort of turfed Sam Hallie Hinksman. I would not be surprised if that's gaining advantage by contact and those places are put back to where they were, but we will see. Clearly not my decision, it's just my opinion. Let's be really clear with that. Absolutely my opinion, and the officials can certainly see things differently, and it's their opinion that matters, not mine. Through the left-hander of the loop goes Salarski. Ratford 2nd place, 42.9 from Salarski. That's only 2 tenths slower than the fastest lap of the weekend so far from Charlie Ratford. Ratford just can't get on terms, he just can't get close enough, and been called a 43.3 last time round. Hallie Hinksman is 4th. A little bit of pressure to him from Liam Karblov now. Behind the pair of them is Tristan Powell. 2nd in the championship, Powell. 6th on the road in Group B at the moment. So we're on the last lap. And Salarski has done absolutely everything that he's needed to do here. Just held Charlie Ratford at arm's length, and Ratford will need to go back to the drawing board here. Needs to find some of that pace from qualifying this morning. Needs to find a 10th or 2. His fastest lap of 43.1, so he's dropped 4 tenths of a second, Charlie Ratford. I understand that setup will have changed between qualifying and Heat 1. Track conditions will have changed as well, but at the moment, it's Salarski who has the upper hand. He's going to come through and win then. The first heat for DRS Group B. Ratford comes home in 2nd place. Bryn Calder 3rd. We'll see if there's any repercussions there from that move on Hallie Hinksman earlier on. Hallie Hinksman just giving a little wave there. Less than impressed, I think, Sam Hallie Hinksman. Karblov finished 4th, Tristan Powell 5th. Henry Foote, good recovery drive from Henry Foote. Back up into 7th, and then Tuscany Groves, Ben Thornley and Archie Potter. That is your top 10, just the one retirement, which was Ruby Smith earlier on in this race. Just in a replay of the move with Calder and Hallie Hinksman. I can't see any way that those places will not be reversed due to that move. And that is our 2 DRS 100 Heat 1s complete. We now move to our youngsters, 8 and overs, DRS 62s, 1:05 we expect them on track, and after the recovery of Ruby Smith's car, we'll be back with you for the first heat for the DRS 62s. Welcome back to round 4 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Little Rissington. It's pre-final time, the first of those pre-finals being for the DRS 100 Group A, and they are just about getting themselves sorted on the dummy grid. Drivers putting helmets on, getting themselves prepared for battle here. Remember, the result of the pre-final goes towards their start position for the grand final. The difference with the DRS 100s is there's 2 groups that need to come together to be arranged into one main final this afternoon. This is how the pre-final for the A group looks. It's Freddie Cox on pole position with Daniel Weir alongside him. Row 2 is James Kochelek and Aaron Mensah with Sherry-Ann Powell and Kai Newman on row 3. Row 4 sees Daniela Sutton alongside Oscar Walmsley-Jones. That's your top 8. Looking further down the field then, Cassidy Southall on the inside of row 5 alongside Jamie Scott, and then Freddie Farrell and Ben Hoy 11th and 12th. Isaac Kite and Eldon Holland on row number 8 with Maximilian Reid at the back of the field. But we'd expect Maximilian to make some progress here. He was one of the drivers that received a technical flag in the first heat. That's why he's at the back of the field, but certainly shown good pace earlier on today to give us an idea of where his progress may lie in this pre-final. So 20 past the hour, we are expecting the grid marshal to release these DRS100A drivers. And the Rissington circuit looking resplendent in the sunshine here. A really hot day. It's quite a windy day actually. There's a real stiff breeze heading up the start-finish straight. But it is a warm and humid day for the drivers, with more to consider than just navigating their Daniel Ricciardo kart around these 1,000 metres of racetrack. The physical and mental sides of the sport being tested for all of our drivers here in the 3 classes this weekend. From here we move on to the B group for the DRS 100s. They're the race that follows the A group. They're around about 20 to 3, and all of these pre-finals are 8 minutes plus a lap, in the same way that the heats were 8 minutes plus a lap earlier on today. A lap time at Rissington, depending on the class, takes between 40 and 45 seconds. It's a fast-flowing circuit where top speed, probably the top speed of any circuit that we head to this year, is here. In terms of the championship, we're 4 rounds in. We're just around over the halfway stage now. We head off to Landau in Wales for round 5 in August, towards the end of August. We then head to Houghton Park in the northwest at Cheshire for round 6 in September, before the championship finishes at Fulbeck. Round number 7 in late October. It'd be lovely to have some of this sunshine reserved for Fulbeck. Those that remember, the final round last year was, well, it was a wet affair. There was some delays due to the just amount of standing water we had on the Fulbeck circuit that day. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more respite from the elements when we head there to conclude the Daniel Ricciardo Series for 2022. What we do know is that we'll have 3 brand new champions, and all the drivers are working towards gathering points to put themselves at the top of the tables and try and claim those prizes as DRS champions for 2022. We are live streaming, as always, here at the Daniel Ricciardo Series. We are live on Facebook today and on our YouTube channel. And those that want to follow the timing for today can go on alphatiming.co.uk and see all the times as they develop live during the races. Lots of good luck messages for these drivers on our social media platforms. So get involved by passing on your best wishes to the driver that you want to see come out on top in these pre-finals. We'll get a couple of warm-up laps, as is the norm here. So the DRS 100s. Group A, remember they are randomly split into 2 groups at the start of every race weekend. It's to enable the sheer volume of DRS100 drivers to be catered for at the rounds of the championship. The drivers will come together at the end of today. So to start with, it's going to be between Cox and Weir into the first corner. They look towards the lights, which are red, and now they go green. Cox, I think, has just about got the best of the starts. Weir will try and go around the outside and decides to tuck in behind. The rest of them stream through paddock corner with a minimum of fuss. There has to be said, there's contact between 3rd, 4th and 5th, and that's just going to allow Sherry-Ann Powell to come around the outside, I think, of Kai Newman again as they head down the hill towards the dogleg for the first time. Here they come then. Sherry-Ann Powell around the outside. She's going to claim a place, isn't she, over the, I think it's over the 146 of Aaron Mensah. Demotes him back to 6th place as they come round then to start their second lap of an 8-minute plus a lap race. Freddie Cox it is out front then. Daniel Weir going to try and keep hold of Freddie Cox here. One of the drivers who has had a torrid first lap, James Kotchalek, down to 8th place. He was the driver, I think, involved in the contact as they went through the loop last time round. So it's Cox and Weir and then Kai Newman up 3 places into 3rd. Aaron Mensah and Sherry-Ann Powell. Daniela Sutton's made a good start up into 6th with Oscar Walmsley-Jones in 7th. Kotchalek, as we said, has dropped to 8th, and Freddie Fowler is 9th, and Jamie Scott is 10th. Isaac Kite's up a place as well, as is Maximilian Reid at the expense of Cassidy Southall, who's had a torrid first lap and dropped 4 places all the way down to 13th. So round they go again. Now Weir is just managing to hold on, isn't he? He's just managing to keep a tag onto the back of Freddie Cox. Their last lap times for lap 2 were fairly comparable. It was a 43.6 for Freddie Cox. And the gap is still just around about 3 kart lengths between the 2 of them. Comfortable enough for Freddie at the moment as we look back towards Sherry-Ann Powell. So 5th place at the moment, under a little bit of pressure now, Sherry-Ann from the 143 of Daniela Sutton. So Sutton up into 6th and looking fairly strong as well, although she's got some company in the form of, is it? James Kotchalek is certainly just in behind. I think then it's the number 128 as well of Oscar Walmsley-Jones. So Walmsley-Jones in a pack with Sutton and Kotchalek, all trying to take that 5th place away from Sherry-Ann Powell, who's going through the elbow at the moment as they stream through and then head back towards the loop and the infield. Here is that battle for 5th place. Sherry-Ann Powell just holding them off at the moment. And down the inside, I think, goes Walmsley-Jones on Daniela Sutton, and Sutton holds on, sticks it around the outside. And now Walmsley-Jones comes under pressure from Kotchalek. There's a little bit of contact between the 2 of them. This is the battle for 7th, 8th and 9th, and just looking behind them as well, because that's the 160 of Freddie Farrell just in behind them in 8th place. Here was the move, just didn't manage to make it stick, didn't Oscar Walmsley-Jones. And Daniela Sutton just sticks it round the outside and says, no, you're going to have to make a better attempt than that. And that means that he came under pressure then from James Kotchalek. Here is that battle, and again Sutton is now a little bit closer to Sherry-Ann Powell as they go through the loop, and we've got one stranded on the way out of the elbow. Is it Maximilian Reid? I think it is the 136 of Maximilian Reid. It is indeed. So whatever's happened there, he will get restarted. He's going to rejoin, but he'll be rejoining a little bit further. Well, he'll be rejoining in front of the leaders actually. So Freddie Cox will lap this. We could do some blue flags out there really. Blue flag at 2, have we got a blue flag at 3? I don't think there's any blue flags, although the back marker, to be fair to Maximilian Reid, he just moved over very courteously and got out the way of Freddie Cox. Now back at the front, Freddie Cox has seen off any sort of advances from Daniel Weir. He dropped him a couple of laps ago. And since then, Weir hasn't really had a response, hasn't really had a reply to Freddie Cox. It does look like Freddie Cox is on a mission for a showdown, probably with Maximilian Salarski, it has to be said, as he was the one that won the B Group first heat. Although Charlie Ratford, if they can find those couple of attempts that they had in qualifying this morning, he will be there or thereabouts as well. No change at the front of this field. Freddie Cox still in the lead. Second place is Daniel Weir. There is the battle for third and fourth between Aaron Mensah and Kai Newman. Behind them, Sherry-Ann Powell still holds that fifth place, still minded to hold off the advances of Daniela Sutton. Fifth and sixth, a little bit wide from Sherry-Ann as she went through the top bend last time. But has maintained the gap between herself and if anything, I wonder if Sherry-Ann's just starting to come back a little bit towards Kai Newman. So she got the better of Kai in the first heat earlier on today. I wonder if that gap's just starting to close ever so slightly. It's certainly, oh, we've got a technical flag. Where's the technical flag for? 146? Surely not for Aaron Mensah, was it? It's gone off the screen, so our angle here in commentary doesn't always tell us where it is on the screen. So let's have a little look. We have got mechanical flag, so Aaron Mensah, mechanical flag. I don't manage to get a chance to look. He's put his hand up, so he is coming into the pits this time, so he's obeyed the flag signals, which is good. I wonder what the problem was. Turn guard, maybe? Quite a common one. He's still circling with pace, so it's usually something that's either fallen off or falling off. So that bumps everybody up one from third downwards. So third place is now Kai Newman. Fourth place is now Sherry-Ann Powell, with Daniela Sutton in fifth and James Kochelek in sixth. And we've got another retirement there, the 128. Oh, that's Oscar Walmsley-Jones. So Oscar Walmsley-Jones is off on the way into paddock. That looks fairly terminal as well, as he rather disconsolately walks towards the safety and security of the Marshal's hut. So the battle to watch here is, can Sherry-Ann Powell close this gap on Kai Newman? Because that's now for a top three place, which would be a super result in this pre-final. And she is closing the gap, isn't she? I wonder if Newman's got a problem as well, because losing a lot of time to Sherry-Ann Powell. He's losing a lot of time. Almost within 3 or 4 corners, Sherry-Ann Powell is close right onto Kai Newman. She's now within 3 or 4 car lengths. There's no change out the front, by the way. It's still Freddie Cox and Daniel Weir are first and second on a fairly lonely mission to finish this race in that order. But look at the gap between third and fourth, Newman and Sherry-Ann Powell. And then look at Daniela Sutton, who's just creeping up behind for anything that gets left for her as well, any scraps that she can pick up. Newman must have had a problem on the previous. I wonder if he made a mistake, and the problem here is if you make a mistake at Rissington, it does generally cost you for quite a few laps. Very quick from Sherry-Ann Powell through the right-hander. She got almost on turns and made a little mistake herself though. She had half a nibble down the inside at Kai Newman. She was so fast off the top straight and into the second part of the paddock corner. She got a great run around the outside and then thought about an overtaking manoeuvre into the loop, and just don't think was close enough to do it. And cost herself a little bit of time, but she has recovered, and she is now back behind Kai Newman, who looks like Kai's got a fairly unhappily handling Daniel Ricciardo car. Certainly some sort of problem. He's going to hold on then, does hold on. It was the last lap. And maybe that's why Sherry-Ann Powell chose to have a little nibble down the inside into the loop, because she knew it was the last lap. There may have been better opportunities as the lap developed. Certainly seemed to be some sort of issue for Kai Newman though. But he has held on and comes home in third place. Your race winner then is Freddie Cox, a lonely win, just how you like them at the front of the Daniel Ricciardo Series. Not how we like them, but it's certainly how the drivers do. So Cox it is who wins the pre-final. He will get a front row berth for the grand final later on this afternoon. That's our last race of the day at 20 to 5. Daniel Weir in second place, Kai Newman in third. Fastest lap was also for Freddie Cox as well. Sherry-Ann Powell was fourth, Daniela Sutton was fifth, James Kochelek recovered from that first lap incident into sixth place, and then it was Freddie Farrell, Cassidy Southall. What a good drive from Cassidy Southall, was right down in 13th at one point and recovered all the way up into 8th place. Jamie Scott was ninth and Isaac Kite came home into 10th. So our second of the DRS pre-finals, the pre-final for Group B, will be on circuit in just around about 6 or 7 minutes time. So the B group then, having seen what the A group have to offer, can now get out there and do their best to give themselves the best possible place for the grand final. And it's the championship leader, the man who's won all of the main finals so far this season. The target for everybody to beat is Maximilian Salarski. He starts on the inside of the front row with Charlie Ratford alongside. He was the fastest in the qualifying session this morning. Row 2 is Sam Halley-Hinksman, the 140 kart, and Liam Carveloff, the 130. Row 3, Bryn Calder and Tristan Powell. I assume that the incident with Bryn Calder was a reversal of places because he's starting a little bit further back than he finished the previous race. Row 4, Henry Foote and Tuscany Groves. Good drive from Henry Foote, considering he had no pace at all this morning, and has managed to get himself up into the top 8. Row number 5 then, 9th for Ben Thorley, and then Archie Potter alongside him. Behind them in 11th is Jake Woodrow, and Ron Marsden is 12th. 13th is Joe Jennings, with Joe Wood in 14th, and Ruby Smith. Just keep an eye out for Ruby Smith, because she made a super start. She was up to 3rd at the start of the first heat for the DRS 100s. Unfortunately, was involved in an incident and didn't finish the race itself. Certainly shown some pace, in particular in the early stages of these heats and these finals. So it's the pre-final. So every one of these DRS 100 drivers will take part in one more race, whether that's the B final for those who don't quite make it into the main final, or the main final itself. Just keeping themselves nice and cool in the warm weather. So the drivers just doing their final preparations, their final communication with parents, mechanics, engineers.
Wait for the flag, guys.
And the start grid marshal goes over just to check that everyone's where they should be. He'll then open the gate, they'll start the engines. He will wave them out onto circuit. And away they go then. So have they all got out first time? It was just a little problem there for Sam Halley-Hinksman. I think he's got sorted now and he's back underway. It certainly looked like he had an issue just getting away and not getting off the line initially. So remember, you can see all the live timing, see who's putting in the fastest laps as they happen at alphatiming.co.uk. Click on the live timing button, select the Daniel Ricciardo Series. So they're on their second of 2 formation laps, should go at the next time of asking. If we can keep themselves nice and neat and tidy. What this format does with the DRS100 it does keep us guessing, doesn't it? It gets us looking forward to that main final when we have drivers who haven't seen each other all day and all of a sudden are face to face to try and get onto the podium, or to the top step of the podium for round 4 of this championship. Here we go then. So Ratford on the outside, Solarski on the inside. Plenty of drivers in behind who could have a say as well. They're coming to the line now. They're quite slow. The lights go red to go green. And Solarski's got the best time. Sam Hinksman's got a good start as well. Hinksman up into second. That's not what Ratford wanted. He wanted to be tucked in behind Solarski. He gets a handful of understeer as well. Does Charlie Ratford as he goes through the second part of Paddock Corner. They're all through the loop. And they're all on the way out of Top Bend. And down this long straight here towards the dogleg for the first time. Solarski is in and out as quick as a flash. He drops down the hill towards Bottom Bend. Comes through mid-bend now. And then up to the elbow for the first time. This fast left-hander off camber. Slides away from him on the exit. He takes a lot of curb. Just about gets away with it, I think. And there's a little bit going on behind. And Henry Foot's been involved in something. The number 5 of Henry Foot drops quite a few places. He came through the timing beam, I think, in 12th, 11th or 12th place. Tristan Powell made a couple of places as well on that first lap, up into 6th. So Solarski, Hallie Hinksman, Ratford, Calder, Carbalov, Tristan Powell and Ben Thorley up into 7th, and Tuscany goes up into 8th, and Archie Potter up a couple into 9th as well. So then, Solarski is who leads. Hallie Hinksman is in 2nd. Ratford is 3rd. Look at Calder in 4th. Had plenty of pace, didn't he? Bryn Calder in the first heat. Putting Charlie Ratford under all kinds of pressure here. Behind them is Liam Karbalov. And down the inside also Ratford. Very clever from Charlie Ratford. Knew that he was under pressure from Calder. Decided to attack. Decided to get after Sam Hallie Hinksman and forced his way through at the top of the circuit and up back into 2nd place. The problem is, Solarski is already maybe 10 kart lengths away at the front of this field, so unless Ratford's got some super pace they didn't have earlier on, Solarski may be a tough task to challenge. The gap between them is 9/10 of a second, but Ratford has just done the fastest lap of the race so far, and that included an overtaking manoeuvre. So Ratford, can he just show that little bit of pace that he lost from qualifying as Hinksman and Calder squabble over 3rd and 4th? Calder should have the inside line, he does, and Hallie Hinksman has to relinquish that 4th place. Just needs to be careful regarding Karbalov in behind as well. He's going to have a go back at Bryn Calder into Bottom Bend. He's going to make that stick as well. So Hallie Hinksman demoted to 4th and back up to 3rd very quickly. Right, let's see the gap between the front 2. It was 9/10 of a second. It's now 8/10 of a second. Hang on a minute. 43.4 for Ratford, 43.5 for Solarski. So if he chipped away at a 10th a lap, would he get there? He'd be very close. He's got something under investigation as well. Oh, it's Henry Foot under investigation for, I wonder if that was for that incident a few laps ago. He's back up to 9th at the moment. Here is Hallie Hinksman and Calder, who are still arguing over 3rd and 4th, with Karbalov behind them. Right, front 2, this is closer, isn't it? It was 8/10 of a second. What is it now? 6/10 of a second, new fastest lap of the race so far for Charlie Ratford, 43.2. Now Ratford has got the bit between his teeth here. He is closing in on Maximilian Salarski. And Salarski's had it all his own way in terms of the championship so far. 3 grand final wins to his name. He wasn't dominant in qualifying this morning, but he was in the first heat. Now, for the first time really, this weekend, he's under a little bit of pressure from Charlie Ratford, who is cruising onto the back bumper. So Salarski, Ratford, the gap was 0.6 of a second. I can tell you it's now less than that now. 0.4 of a second. 0.2 of a lap being taken by Charlie Ratford. And behind them, you've got this battle between Harry Hinksman, Karbeloff and Bryn Calder. Tuscany goes behind them, and Henry Foot's made another couple of places up into 8. Here's your battle for the lead then. Salarski on the right of your picture, the number 3. He's the race leader. Charlie Ratford in 2nd place. That was 0.4. What is it now? Still 0.4. A little bit of a response from Salarski. In fact, Salarski did his own personal private fastest lap. So the gap between them 0.4 of a second, and this is the point where Ratford will just start to close in under braking. He'll just have that little advantage of being able to use braking points, turning points, go a little bit slower in and faster out if he needs to. Tuscany Groves receives a contact warning down in 14th. So here are the leaders then, and you can see visibly the gap is down at 2 kart lengths. And Ratford will start to smell blood here. Here is a pressure situation. He took another 10th that time, Charlie Ratford, from Max Salarski. Behind them, Calder, Hinksman, Karbeloff. Further back, Henry Foot now up to 6th. Good recovery drive again from him. Ben Thorley is 7th. Tristan Powers 8th. Archie Potter is 9th. Joe Wood is up to 10th. Look at the 2 leaders there. That's the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. But as close as they are, is about as close as the front 2 are. At what point does Ratford have a look at Max Salarski? I wonder if they changed something from qualifying and then changed it back again. He's got that little bit of pace now, hasn't he? He's got that little bit of more vigour about him, Charlie Ratford. And I'm watching these 2 as they head up towards the right-hand at the top end. Not quite close enough yet. These 3 are close enough though. Down to the dogleg comes Salarski and Ratford. How long have we got left? A minute to go here. Oh, he's had a go down the inside, has he? Charlie, no, he had a little look down the inside, did Charlie Ratford. Salarski holds him off. And the pair of them head up towards the elbow. Very similar coloured helmets. Oh, big mistake from Charlie Ratford. Clouted the curb. He's lost a kart length. He lost a little bit of that momentum. Is that a chance for Salarski just to get away? He absolutely lumped the curb on the way into the elbow. And now a little mistake from Salarski, a little bit wide through the elbow. These 2 are pushing. They really are pushing. Again, another mistake from Ratford. He goes wide on the entry into the right-hander at top bend. That's given Salarski that breathing space once more. Pushing and pushing these 2. That's when mistakes get made. You might run out of time here. Will they get round? They've got 10 seconds. Will they get round for another lap, or will this be the last lap after this one? It's going to be really tight. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Yes, they have. 2 to go then. 2 to go. That was really close. And it's helped Charlie Ratford, hasn't it? It's worked right into Charlie Ratford's hands. He's got an extra lap to try and mount a challenge and try and mount an assault onto Max Salarski. Salarski is quick where we are now. They're really quick through he's really quick through top bend. That carries that momentum down the hill into the dog leg. And now this is where Ratford closes ever so slightly. Round the bottom bend once more. Middle bend and up the hill towards the elbow. There might be a marking play as well. Neater from Ratford that time. Last lap then. Okay. Doesn't need to defend Salarski. Ratford isn't close enough, but will he anyway? They go through the right-hander down towards the left of the loop, up towards top bend. He's not close enough yet, Ratford, and this is where he's a little bit closer than he was last time. Can he get a toe down the hill towards, or dive down the inside towards the dogleg? He can. He's close, but just not there, is he? Just not close enough. He's just not really tucked right up under the rear bumper. Has he got one big move into the left hand at the elbow? I wouldn't have thought so, although he's made a little mistake, has he? Almost came side by side. I think he's going to have enough. Yes, he has. Max Salarski goes through. Ratford just gives his head a little wobble in disappointment at not being able to mount that challenge. And we had a chain guard and a chain off as they went over the line. I think that's Karbalov. So I think that Liam Karbalov, who's certainly the chain guard, is just down below us over the start finish, the plastic chain guard. So he's thrown a chain off. You heard it as he went past. So it was Brinkhold who did hold on for third. Hallie Hinksman was fourth. Karbalov fifth, but now needs a replacement chain. Henry Folk finished sixth. Ben Thorley seventh. Tristan Powers eighth, and Archie Potter finished in ninth place. And that is your two DRS100 pre-finals complete. We're likely to have a front row subject to any provisional scrutineering checks, of course. That includes Freddie Cox and Maximilian Salarski. That could be interesting. The second row will be interesting, won't it? That's likely to be Daniel Ware and Charlie Bradford. All doing very similar lap times as well. A 43.2 for Max Salarski in the last race. That was matched by Freddie Cox in the Group A pre-final. So that's lined up nicely. There'll be the drivers who didn't make it through to the A will take part in the B final first, and we will have the pre-finals for our other two classes, starting with the DRS 62s in just around about 7 minutes. So the one final before the three grand finals is for the B final, so the drivers who just haven't quite made their way into the DRS 100 main final. 6 of them. Some big names in this as well, isn't there? Certainly names that we'd usually associate with being in the grand final, but still championship points to collect. Certainly wouldn't usually see the likes of Jamie Scott, certainly not Oscar Walmsley-Jones in this position. But that's kart racing. There are bad days. There are days where you get involved with incident and action out there. Got to feel sorry for Ruby Smith as well. She was right up into third in the first heat. Was involved in a collision in that heat that led to her not finishing that particular race. That's undoubtedly contributed to her being in the B final today. So the grid is as follows, with Jamie Scott and Ruby Smith on the front row. Behind them, Oscar Walmsley-Jones and Rowan Marsden. And then row 3 is Isaac Kite and Joe Wood. So we've got a 10-minute plus a lap shootout between 6 drivers. Try and get as many points on the board as they can.
Wait for the flag, guys.
So the umbrellas are put down. The last of the sun shade that they can get. It's certainly a very, very hot day. We talked about the cloud cover being quite strong, but it's not affected the humidity. We've still got that breeze, although it has just dropped a little bit, the breeze that was going up the main straight earlier on today. So a couple of rolling laps, I assume, for the DRS 100B final drivers. Oh, they're going to go first time, are they? Oh, no, they're not. So they did all that work to get themselves formed up nicely, and then they got there and they were sent round again. So they had broken formation very early as well. So They'll go around again. We'll see if we can get it right at the second time of asking. The 3 grand finals coming up after this, so stay tuned if you're watching us on the live stream on Facebook or on YouTube. We should hopefully get down to the grid and speak to a couple of the drivers as well before they start their main finals. So here come the DRS100 B final drivers. It looks like Scott has got the best of the starts, and round the outside goes Ruby Smith, just holds on to that second place this time. And then goes for the inside on Scott. So Ruby really aggressive in the opening couple of laps here, taking out some of that frustration from earlier on, but she's done it to good effect and has now found herself at the front of this B final. Heads now into the left-hander of the dogleg for the first time. So Ruby Smith, I think Oscar Walmsley-Jones is probably up into second. I think Jamie Scott is now down into third place. It is indeed the 1-2-8 of Oscar Walmsley-Jones. Let's see how quickly Oscar can close that gap on Ruby Walsh. Certainly getting Ruby Smith, certainly getting there at the moment. Certainly goes very quickly in the last lap or so. And now goes to the inside. Do they make a mistake? Oh, doesn't. Almost a little bit of contact between the two of them. Into the dog leg, and now they accelerate down towards the right-hander. 10 minutes plus a lap in this B final. Over start finish they go then. We've had a minute and a half, and at the moment the number 151 of Ruby Smith doing a super job at keeping at bay Oscar Walmsley-Jones as he dives to the inside. Will he make it stick this time? She tries to hold on the outside. I think he will get it done this time, and he has got it done this time. So Walmsley-Jones moves into the lead. Oh, and down the inside goes Ruby Smith. Dives back down the inside, not willing to give up that position for more than a couple of corners. It's a super way of defending your position. Just go back on the attack every time. And what I would say is if Ruby is understanding that she probably hasn't got the pace to stay with Oscar Walmsley-Jones if he gets out front, it's the best chance of winning the race to re-attack at every opportunity you can do. And now Oscar Walmsley-Jones goes to the inside. Ruby dives back to try and get him on the undercut, doesn't manage to get it done, and that might be enough for Oscar Walmsley-Jones this time. Seems to have just broken a little bit of a gap between himself and Ruby Smith. And now Ruby Smith just might need to be aware of Jamie Scott just behind in third place. And there is the move that got it done. Excellently executed through the loop, which is where they are now. Just hasn't quite shaken off yet, has he, Oscar Walmsley-Jones? Ruby Smith is certainly within the car length or so still. Remember, one of the rookie drivers as well, Ruby Smith, in her first season of DRS Championship racing. You do get the feeling that if Ruby Smith can get within half a kart length, she'd be more than happy to have a dive down the inside on the brake. She's already looked Very, very dangerous on the brakes into some of the slower corners. Looks like she can really have a... She's able to stop the car on a sixpence, isn't she, and get it down the inside. So driving very nicely indeed. And closing up to Oscar Walmsley-Jones. There are your front two. And round they come again. She's a bit closer this time as well, is Ruby Smith. I do really like the style. I like the way that she drives. I like the aggressive nature. Certainly, if she can just add a little touch of consistency with it. I mean, neither of these two should be in the B final, should they? They've both had pretty wretched days. But from a pace perspective, they are both very capable indeed, these two front runners. It's a shame we're not going to see them in the battle of the main final. Behind them is Jamie Scott, and then Isaac Kite, and Ron Martin and Joe Wood are the last two of 6. It would be nice to get a battle between these two to finish. And Ruby is very quick through the first couple of corners. She loses a little bit on the exit here of the top bend. Doesn't quite get close enough on the exit to drop down the hill and have a pop into the left-hander. She almost looked like it, didn't she? Really, I really enjoy the style, I have to say. Quite all action, quite aggressive with how she makes overtaking manoeuvres. Very difficult to defend against because she comes so late into some of the corners. But Walmsley-Jones has just started to edge away this last lap or so. She's going to need a couple of consistent corners here. Just needs to settle it down, Ruby Smith. Just try and edge a touch closer. Get within striking range once more. She has a look over her left shoulder just to check the status of Jamie Scott. She'll see that Jamie is quite a distance behind her at the moment. And behind them is the 131 of Isaac Kite. Fastest lap of the race so far, a 43.4 for Oscar Walmsley-Jones. And lapping consistently around those times as well. Just took 2/10 out of Smith on that last occasion. So I think in terms of pure pace, I think Ruby Smith has got the answers to get back on terms with Oscar Walmsley-Jones. So it may need a mistake here from our race leader to bring Ruby Smith back into contention. We're just heading towards 3 minutes to go. And it looks like he's just starting to get a little bit more comfortable, isn't he, Oscar Walmsley-Jones, as Smith just clips the curb on the inside of the left-hander at paddock. And the rest of them all stream through. No changes. Jamie Scott, 3rd. Isaac Kite in 4th. Ron Marston's 5th. Joe Wood is in 7th place. There's no change with any of those. We'll update you if there is. We're just waiting to see if we can have any sort of grandstand finish here. I don't think we're going to have one. I think that Oscar Walmsley-Jones has now done enough just to break the resolve of Ruby Smith. Just kept her at arm's length throughout the early stages, although she did try and counter-attack several times with good effect as well. Over the line they go, 2 minutes left. So closing stages of this DRS 100B final. We then head to the DRS 62s. We're down on the dummy grid in a few minutes' time to speak to some of the drivers there. As Jamie Scott completes another lap. up into third place. Pace has dropped a little bit, so from 43.5, Ruby Smith has dropped to 44 flats from a 43.1 for 43.4 for Oscar Walmsley-Jones. He's dropped off a couple of attempts as well, and Jamie Scott, who was doing 43.8s, is now doing 44.4s. So closing stages then. So the next time round will be the last time round. It's a 43.7. I wonder if this will give us a decent indication of what will happen with the tyres as we see this battle between Isaac Kite and Rowan Marsden for 4th and 5th, and then Joe Wood is through at the back of the field. So next time round will be the last time round. We'll get the last lap ball off the start. So the last lap board is out for Oscar Walmsley-Jones. He's about to start, or he has started, his final tour. And here is that battle between Kite and Marsden. Is there a bit of contact here? There's a lot of contact here between the two of them. Will they both rejoin? I think they both have rejoined. Can't see any stranded out there at the moment. Well, certainly Rowan Marsden's just gone through. Where's Isaac Kite? Oh, he's just coming through now. So the last half a lap or so for our leader is going to be our winner. It'll be a bittersweet one for Oscar Walmsley-Jones. Certainly would have preferred to be in the A final later on today, but he's got the job done in the B, and Oscar Walmsley-Jones wins the B final for the DRS100. Second place is going to be Ruby Smith. Third, a distant third for Jamie Scott, and Joe Wood, Rowan Marsden and Isaac Kite will also come through to complete the full running order. All 6 starters finished the DRS B final. And that wraps up everything other than 3 main finals, the first of which is the DRS 62s. And we'll be down the dummy grid in a few minutes to speak to some of the drivers. So final race of the day then, the grand final for the DRS 100. They're on the dummy grid at the moment, raring to go. We're going to try and grab a quick chat with them. In the front row, Freddie Cox on the inside of the front row alongside Maximilian Salarski. Just behind them, Daniel Weir, who was fastest in the Group A qualifying this morning, and then Charlie Ratford. I'm going to go round and speak to Charlie first because Charlie has a new lap record. So he's the fastest driver that's ever driven a DRS 100 car around this circuit. Charlie, we were just saying that you are the fastest man to ever drive a DRS 100 car around this Little Rissington circuit. I'm sure you would exchange that for a race win, would you?
Yeah, definitely.
What sort of chance have you got from there? Obviously, really quick in qualifying this morning. I think as the weather's got a little bit warmer, maybe the tyre degradation has impacted some drivers, probably you included. What can you do from here? Longer race?
Yeah, because I was on Max last race. We're basically setting the same times the whole time, so it's difficult to overtake him. So I think a longer race will give you a better chance, especially now I'm starting from 4th, which is still near the front. So I think I've still got a good chance.
And you've also got to add in that you two have been together all day, but all of a sudden you've got these lot as well that you hadn't seen before.
Yeah, it just gives it a better challenge. It makes it more exciting as well. Hopefully closer battling with more people.
Absolutely. Wish you all the best for the final. Well, I'm just going to have a quick look and see how many are being recovered, see how much time we've got. We might just get another minute. We'll just grab Freddie on the inside of the front row. Fred, it's a perfect place to be, isn't it? How can you convert this into a race win?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, really good track, my favourite track. It's gone well all day. Hopefully bring it home in the final.
And we've talked a lot all season about the fact that you've seen all these guys this today and over this weekend, but you haven't seen any of these guys yet. So a different proposition as well. And obviously you've been watching the other races. How much attention do you pay to the other races when you finish your work?
Yeah, the Group B has been after my final each race, so I'll go and watch it and keep looking at the timing and comparing it. But it's weird, haven't been on track with these guys all weekend. So
We'll leave you to it. All the best, Freddie. So that's the DRS100's last race of the day then. This could be an absolute cracker. The first time a lot of these have seen each other this weekend. Let's see who comes out on top. So this is it then, last race of the day, the final of the DRS 100s. Group A and B come together in one grand finale. This could be a cracker. Settle in, if you're at the circuit, come and have a watch live. There's not much better than this sort of entertainment. If you're at home, enjoy the stream. Put on some comments supporting the drivers that you want to see do well. We'll try and get to them if we possibly can do. But this could be one that you don't want to take your eyes off. It really could. A front row of Freddie Cox and championship leader Maximilian Salarski. Behind them, drivers who we know have got the pace to be there or thereabouts. The likes of Charlie Ratford, the likes of Daniel Weir. So they'll get 2 rolling laps as we expect. There'll be a few with some nerves here. What a weekend Rissington has given us. What close racing it's given us. Fantastic weather. Every race has had a subplot, a side story, and as the championship develops, as the stakes become higher, expect closer, more exciting racing, and that could be from here on in. Your Group A and your Group B are all together. This is the best of the DRS 100s, and they're about to get started. For 12 minutes plus a lap of action. The lights are red. Cox and Salarski, look at the lights, and away they go. And Cox has the best of the start. Salarski, whoa, he'll go over the grass. Salarski off on the outside. He tried to slide in alongside the DRS plate of Freddie Cox. He got all kinds of sideways. He jumped over the grass. I think he's recovered into some sort of decent position. I think he's recovered into 4th, if my eyesight isn't lying to me, as he attacks Charlie Ratford, I think. So it's Weir. So it's the Group A boys who are out front here. So it is Freddie Cox who leads. It looks to me as if Daniel Weir is up into 2nd. Salarski 3rd. Salarski has got past Ratford. Yes, he has. So a good recovery from Max Salarski. Ratford is 4th. It looks like Sam Halley-Hinksman is 5th, Kochalek is 6th, Bryn Calder, Kai Newman, Liam Karbeloff, Sherry-Ann Powell is 10th at the moment. So a couple of drivers made good inroads. Eldon Holland made 4 places up to 19th, Tuscany Grove 2 places up to 15th, Henry Foote a couple of places up to 13th, and Aaron Mensah up to 11th by a couple of places. Tristan Powell's on a shocker. He's all the way down in 16th after starting in 11th place. Right then. Front 3, very little between them. What's happened with Salarski? So Ratford has got back past Salarski somewhere. So Charlie Ratford has retaken Maximilian Salarski, who is now back into 4th place. He won't be happy in there at all. So Cox and Weir and Ratford, and now we've got one without a chain right down in front of me, which is the 136. He's parked it up. So, Maximilian Reid, he's been in the wars today, hasn't he, Maximilian Reid? He really has. It's not the best place to park it either. He might need to move that into a safer place. The official will get that done for him. He'll head over the tyres into a point of safety, that young man. Here come the leaders then. Freddie Cox. Now the gap was 3/10 last time round. What is it now? Freddie Cox, we look at Salarski all over the back of Ratford. These two have been at it all day, haven't they? 3rd and 4th at the moment. The gap's 7/10. Good lap, really good lap from Freddie Cox. Took 4/10 out of Daniel Weir. And Weir, you just get the impression he might be starting to look over his shoulder and just to see what's happening with Salarski and Ratford. And here comes Salarski down the inside, and he takes 3rd place away from Charlie Ratford. Now then, he's the driver, isn't he, that you would think had the pace. The fact that that young man's won every grand final so far, that record is at serious risk here. But there's still time, and we know he's got the talent, we know he's got the pace. Maximilian Salarski. He's got to get Daniel Weir out the way. And once he's got Daniel Weir out the way, he's got to get Freddie Cox, get onto the back of Freddie Cox, and then them two can scrap it out. What a finale that would be, A versus B, as they go down towards the dogleg once more. We've still got nearly 9 minutes to go here. Plenty of time for this to unfold. There's plenty of action in behind as well. The likes of Harry Hinksman, Calder, Karblov, Newman, Mensah, all more or less in this squabble for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. A little bit further back is Sherry-Ann Powell in 11th. Daniela Sutton, those two have been together most of the day as well. They are 11th and 12th. So 9/10 between Cox, Weir and Salarski. Lap times between Cox and Salarski. What a good job Freddie Cox is doing. And the reason I'm saying that is Maximilian Salarski is chasing Daniel Weir, and he's still not as quick as Freddie Cox is driving in clean air at the front. It's always quicker to chase. 9 times out of 10, it's quicker to chase if you've got the pace. Salarski is getting there with Weir, there's no doubt about that, but he has not got the pace that Freddie Cox has got, just driving at the front of this field. Now this is where Cox has got to be very, very good, because if he can gain, if he can earn an unassailable lead here and get out front, it doesn't matter if Salarski gets past Weir, he wouldn't have the time to close him down. He's got to put as much time between himself and Weir as he can. He also wants a really messy overtake between Salarski and Weir, I'm sure, that cost them both a half second or so. That would be perfect for him. Here we go then. Still plenty of time, and while Salarski sits behind Weir, Cox is happy at the front of this field because he knows that Daniel Weir has not got the pace. New fastest lap for Freddie Cox, 43.307. Compare that to 43.320 from Salarski. Pretty much the same. Albeit Cox quicker by a couple of attempts, and another fastest lap, 43.220 for Freddie Cox. Now compare that to Salarski, 43.4. He took 2 attempts out of Weir and Salarski last time round. The gap is up to 1.2 seconds. Salarski's golden unbroken record of winning every grand final is in serious, serious danger here. In fact, he's under threat now from Charlie Ratford in 4th place, scrubbing for that last podium position. Now then, what a start from Freddie Cox. All his work in the early stages. He's had 7 laps so far. He's just churning out fastest lap after fastest lap. He's got another one now. He clips the curb. Little mistake. Clips the curb, goes faster. 43.197. Another 2 attempts taken from him to Salarski. Another 10th taken between him and Daniel Weir in 2nd place. And Weir has seen off the threat of Max Salarski here, hasn't he? And Ratford is now the one that Salarski has to worry about. There's a huge gap then back to Cotswold, done a good job to get up to 5th. Harry Hinksman in 6th, been Calder, Ian Karblov and Mensah. Henry Foot is now up into the top 10, into 10th place, and Tuscany Groves is ahead of Sherry-Ann Powell, who's dropped to 12th. Yes, Daniel Sutton gone all the way down to 16th. Something's gone on there in the last couple of laps as well. There was a battle between Harry
Harley Hinksman and Kochelet. Bryn Calder is behind them. Liam Karbeloff behind them. Another fastest lap, 43.1 for Freddie Cox. So by my reckoning, Freddie Cox has set a new fastest lap of the race in the last 4 laps. He's just consistently cruised at the front of his field. And although Weir's gone a little bit quicker himself at 43.3, the gap is now a second and a half. He's going to have to do something unbelievable to reel Freddie Cox in. Freddie Cox will have to make a fairly major mistake, several mistakes, to stop him winning round 4 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Little Rissington. The rest of them stream through. It's still Weir, Solarski, Ratford, Harley Hinksman, Kochelet, Bryn Calder is 7th for number 7. Liam Karbeloff is in 8th, Mensah is 9th, Foot is 10th. Now Chevy Powell recovers back up to 11th place. Daniel Sutton also recovering up to 15th. There's about the 2nd and 3rd. What we're going to the shoulder from Daniel Weir. Don't underestimate the quality of Daniel Weir tonight, by the way. Very, very deep from the 2nd row. Got himself in the landship with a good start. And he's held Solarski at bay, hasn't he? And if anything, Ratford is now the one that's dropped off the pace a little bit at the back of this field. He's never been able to maintain the pace that he showed in qualifying this morning. He was the quickest DRS 100 driver by about 2 or 3 tenths in the end. He hasn't managed to maintain that sort of pace at all in the rest of the day's racing. Now finds himself in 4th. And what did Freddie Cox do last time round? Let's have a quick look as they come through once more. He did a 43.2, which is a tenth slower, so the train of fastest laps has ended. But he still went faster than Weir and Solarski. And there is the move for 2nd place. So now then, Solarski through finally into 2nd place. The question is, has he got 2.1 seconds worth of pace in 3 minutes? No, of course he hasn't. He's not going to go 8 tenths of a second quicker than Freddie Cox is going to go for the last 3 or 4 laps. Here's the move though. Solarski down the inside, takes a handful of championship points as well. Very nicely done, Max Solarski. Up into 2nd place. So Cox, Solarski, Weir. Is there a danger of Weir dropping into the clutch of Charlie Ratford? No, I don't think there is. The battle behind between Harley Hinksman and Kochelet is still going. There's a 2-car battle between Mensah and Calder for 7th and 8th as well. And then Karbeloff, Foot and Sherry and Powell. There is the battle for 5th and 6th. I can tell you out front. Let's just have a little check on the gap between. It doesn't matter because Freddie Cox just on a 43 flat. 43 flat was 4 tenths quicker than Solarski. He's just done another one. 43 flat. Another 2 tenths off Solarski. Freddie Cox is cruising here. Absolutely cruising. Fastest lap after the fastest lap. The gap's 3 seconds now. This is as stellar a performance as we've seen. In fact, it's a Solarski-esque performance from what we've seen Max do to the opposition in DRS100, and all of a sudden Freddie Cox is doing it to him and everybody else in this field. So Freddie Cox then, he could cruise it now, 90 seconds to go, he could cruise round this Rissington circuit. Solarski will have given this up. He'll know that he's just got to keep Daniel Weir behind to get a good handful of championship points. Ratford in 4th, a fairly distant 4th now. This battle continues with Kochelet and Harley Hinksman, and Mensah and Calder are at it again. And then, Sherry-Ann Powell's got past Henry Foot. So Sherry-Ann Powell is now up into the top 10. She's into 9th place. Look at this battle between these two. Absolutely side by side. Harley Hinksman on the inside, Kochelet on the outside. Hold line astern, 5th and 6th place. I don't think the podium's going to change here. Unless Weir fancies a real dig at Selarski in the closing stages. What have we got left? 25 seconds, 2 laps to go here. Another fastest lap, 43.005. He's going faster every single lap, is Freddie Cox. Like his life depended on it. At the front of this field, he's been the class of the field. Certainly since lunchtime today, he's been the class of the field. And Freddie Cox then is heading towards another DRS100 Daniel Ricciardo Series victory. He's going to start his last lap in a couple of corners' time. Just keep an eye on the battle behind. Just see that Weir doesn't know. There's all kinds going on behind them. With Brincolder, who's got himself to the front of that little pack of drivers. His next target would be the 140 of Harry Hinksman, so Cotswold's dropped back a little bit there. Sherry-Ann Powell got away from Henry Foote now in 9th. So we're on the final lap then, and our race leader's got less than half a lap to go. He's already through the little bus stop chicane, the dog leg. Just have a look at Ratford, come on really strong, hasn't he, the last couple of corners. He's almost put the 3 of these guys for 2nd, 3rd and 4th together. Here is your race leader, who's about to be your race winner. 1 more corner to go then, and Freddie Cox wins round 4 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Little Rissington at a canter as well. 2nd place is Maximilian Selarski's. 3.3 seconds was the gap in the end, which showed the dominance of Freddie Cox. Daniel Weir in 3rd place. Charlie Ratford came home in 4th. Came on strong at the end as well. Sam Halley Hinksman in 5th. Brincolder in 6th. James Kotchalek was 7th. Aaron Mensah in 8th. Sherry-Ann Powell just pipped Henry Foote for 9th place as well. And that wraps up another fantastic day's racing here at the Daniel Ricciardo Series. We'll be back with the trophy presentation in about 15 to 20 minutes time. But from me and everyone else at Rissington, we'll see you soon. Welcome to the trophy presentation for round 4 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Little Rissington. We will start with the DRS125 drivers, our senior category today. And in 3rd place, number 4, Tom Snape. In 2nd place, and our Grandmaster for the day as well, the DRS plate of Firas Bilbezi. And today's winner, the number 183 of Ben Gartside. Ladies and gentlemen, the DRS 125 top 3. On to our DRS 100s and the winner of the B final today, the number 128, Oscar Walmsley Jones. And into the main grand final, our top rookie today, 12th place finish for number 162, Cassidy Southall. And today's top 3 then, in 3rd place, number 9, Daniel Weir. For the first time this season, not on the top step of the podium, but a great drive nonetheless from number 3, Maximilian Selarski.
And today's winner went off from the front and was never headed. It's the DRS plate of Freddie Cox. Our DRS 100 top 3, everyone. And our DRS 62s. First of all, our DRS 62 Academy drivers, our top 3. Third place, 9th overall for 136, Oscar Roach. And second of our DRS Academy drivers, an 8th place overall finish for Aston Redpath. And our DRS 62 Academy winner, a super drive into 5th overall for the DRA plate of Bailey Wolf. The DRS Academy top 3. And finally, our DRS Supers, probably the closest weekend of racing we've had for DRS Supers for some time. And in 3rd place overall, the number 5 of Nat Johnston. Second place in a really closely run final. Just didn't get there in the end. The DRS plate of Jack Robinson. And today's DRS 62 super winner, the number 3 of Oscar Walsh. The DRS 62s. And that's a wrap from us here at round 4 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Little Rissington. We'll take our summer break and be back in a month's time at round 5 in the south of Wales at Landau. We'll see you there.